Alrighty, boys and girls, this is January 2009, C1, question 9. The first term of an arithmetic series is A, and the common difference is D. Thank you very much for educating us, Mr. Examiner. The 18th term of the series is 25. Now, a lot of students look at these questions and immediately delve into reading the entire question, successfully overwhelming themselves by the sheer amount of information. This is a long question, really. If you look at it, it's 9, part A, B, C, and D, so there's 4 parts to it. The very first thing you should do is stop dead in your tracks the moment you see something like the 18th term of the series is 25. You're inevitably going to need to write this down in your question paper in an equation form is what you should think. So stop right here. It says the 18th term of the series is 25. We stop and we go to our question paper. Behold, question paper, big blank screen. The 18th term, as you know, would be written in sequences in series term as U18. It also goes on to say this term of the series is 25. So we write equals 25. Next, the question says the 21st term of the series is 32.5. So we go back to the question paper and we say U21 equals 32.5. Now we've presented our information the way the examiner would like to see it. These are going to be awarded consideration towards your marks in the exam, so you must write them down. The next part of the question says, well, the first part of the question, 9a, says use this information to write down 2 equations for A and D, and it carries 2 marks. Here, the examiner is really just testing your knowledge of how to write terms using this notation, A and D, where A is the first term of the series and common difference refers to D. Here, the examiner is testing your knowledge of this basically formula, UN equals A plus N minus 1 D, where A is the first term, N is the number of terms, or the N is the term being referred to, and D is the common difference between terms. That is what the examiner is testing you on. So if the examiner has given you this information, then U18, therefore, U18 can be written in this notation as A plus 18 minus 1 D. Therefore, that translates to A plus 17D. And U21 can therefore be written as A plus 21 minus 1 D, which equals A plus 20D. So, to answer this question finally, where it says use this information to write down 2 equations for A and D, which carries 2 marks, you are getting 1 mark per equation that you're writing down, having used all of this information to your advantage. Next, all you need to do is take that information and compile it into your answer. You already have the first equation's first part and the second equation's first part. Therefore, the 2 equations you need to write are A plus 17D, which is U18, which, as you know, is also 25 according to Mr. Examiner. Your first equation is equal to 25. That's your first equation. He or she will give you 1 mark for this. And your second equation, as you know, U21 equals 32.5, and U21 also equals A plus 20D. Therefore, A plus 20D must equal 32.5. The examiner will award you 1 more mark for this one, giving you a total of 2 marks for this question. Alright people, so the second part of the question, 9b, says show that A equals minus 17.5 and find the value of D. It carries 2 marks. Again, because it carries 2 marks, it's very unlikely that this question is looking for a particular way to be solved. It's 2 marks, one for showing A is minus 17.5 and the other mark for finding the value of D. So even if you end up finding the value of D first, it doesn't matter. As long as you solve the question, you show that A is minus 17.5 and you also state the value of D. How do we go about doing that? As you know from 9 part A, we found two equations for A and D, and those equations are here. A plus 17D equals 25, and A plus 20D equals 32.5. How do we go about finding the value of A and D? Showing the value of A is minus 17.5, and finding the value of D in the process. Very, very simple. All you need to do, because it carries 2 marks, you need to show some sort of solving mechanism. Here, simultaneous equations, or simply subtracting the first from the second. First equation, equation 1, from the second equation, equation 2, is probably going to get the job done way easier. So in that case, what we're doing here is therefore A plus 20D equals 32.5. Then we have A plus 17D equals 25. We subtract the second equation from the first equation, and A minus A therefore cancels out to give you 0. 20D minus 17D gives us 3D, and 32.5 minus 25 gives us 7.5. Therefore, if 3D equals 7.5, then D must equal a third of 7.5, which is therefore 2.5. Very simple math. So we've ended up finding D first, and given the examiner the answer. We got D equals 2.5. Now that we have D equals 2.5, we can use that to show that A is minus 17.5. We know that the first equation was A plus 17D, or a second equation, let's use that. A plus 20D equals 32.5. So now that we have the value of D, we can say, therefore, A plus 20 times 2.5 equals 32.5. Going down, we have A plus 20 times 2.5. What is 20 times 20 times 2.5? It is 50. Therefore, A plus 50 equals 32.5. Therefore, A must equal 32.5 minus 50, which equals minus 17.5. So we've got 1 mark for each part of the question. We've shown the examiner that A is indeed minus 17.5, and we've also shown the examiner that D is the value 2.5, which allowed us to arrive at that first answer to begin with. Excellent.